Bobcat Breakdown is back in action. The volleyball team has finally made a decision on a new head coach. Is there a concern for the men's hockey team performance over winter break? The seats are going to be hot in the media suite as the debate starts right now. Bobcat Nation, Breakdown is back, and we have a lot of debate today, so let's keep the introductions brief. Some of Q30's finest analysts are here today. Josh Silverman and Bryan Schwartz. I'm Eric Kerr as host. You guys ready?
Finest analyst. What a compliment to start off the show.
Honored.
A freshman trying to get in our good graces.
Yeah, I'm trying to do whatever I can. But anyway, to start off our show, we jump back to our fall sports team. After firing former head volleyball coach Chris Saplinski in November, it took 2 months for Quinnipiac to hire a new head coach. The Bobcats hired Colin Robinson, an assistant coach for the Oklahoma University Sooners. Robinson has an impressive resume from his head coaching years at LIU Brooklyn. He also worked with the USA national team. The numbers are there, but what do you guys think makes him the guy? Josh, we'll start with you.
So first of all, you mentioned his tenure at LIU Brooklyn. This guy wins Coach of the Year awards like the Warriors and Patriots win championships. This guy from 2011, 2012, 2013, and 2014 won NEC Coach of the Year, the only coach to win Coach of the Year 4 times in a row, 4 times in general. So he obviously is very experienced. He's going to bring a culture change, probably a new recruiting style. Anything he can bring that can be different for this Bobcats team is going to be, something that they've yearned for and something that they need. This team needed to be changed, and I think that Kyle Robinson is the guy to do it.
I look at this not to the magnitude of the Quinnipiac men's basketball team, but they brought in Baker Dunleavy a couple years ago from a big-time program in Villanova. Obviously a lot of success, a lot of NCAA tournament experience. I see this almost a little bit similar with Kyle Robinson coming from Oklahoma and LIU Brooklyn, where he made the NCAA tournament 5 times. He was a part of the big-time program in the Big 12 with Oklahoma. And now he comes to Quinnipiac with a fresh start and looking to make this program into a big-time program. And I think that is what the vision of Greg Amodio is in this athletic department, is to make this program a big-time team and potentially move them up into a bigger conference.
I agree, and as Eric mentioned, not only did he coach, but he's played, and he played for the U.S. national team. So obviously this guy has experience as a coach and as a player, something that, I think separates some of the good coaches from the great ones. Obviously there are great coaches that never played the game at a high level, but to find a coach that is only beneficial. He's going to be able to connect with his players. And I'm excited to see, obviously I won't be here, I'm a senior, but I'm excited to see from afar what's going to happen with this team moving forward.
Look, 5 NCAA tournament appearances with LIU Brooklyn in the NEC.
In 8 years.
That's impressive. You can't really go wrong with this choice, I don't think, Eric.
Yeah, I agree. The resume certainly is there. So, the winter break has been filled with some intense matchups and fierce competition. There's so much to talk about, so to sum it all up, Jonathan Banks takes us through his top 5 moments from winter sports over the break. Take a look.
Jonathan Banks here, ready to break down the top 5 moments of winter break. There are a lot of them, so I tried to pick the best 5. If you disagree, shoot me a reply on Twitter. It's all good. But let's get it started here. Number 5, Strautmanet scoring. Paula Strautmanet, Quinnipiac women's basketball team. She tallied her 1,000th career point, becoming the 15th player to Division I level in school history to accomplish such a feat. Let's take a look at the moment from the charity stripe. On to 4, Priske's points. Chase Priske has really been a 200-foot player for the Bobcats this season and one of the best in the country offensively and defensively. The captain picked up 2 assists December 29th against Colgate to reach the 100-point mark. Priske became the 4th defenseman in Quinnipiac history to reach the triple digits. Here's his feed to Desi Burgart that reached the century marker. Number 3, the first of 2 draft picks over the break, Samo's selection. Melissa Samoskevich was the 2nd overall pick in the NWHL draft, staying in the Nutmeg State with the Connecticut Whale. The U.S. International also recorded her 100th career point, 50 goals and 50 assists on the dot, on January 18th against Sacred Heart. Second from the top, Daly's dream. That's Quinnipiac University men's soccer forward Rashawn Daly was selected with the first pick in the 3rd round of the Major League Soccer Super Draft. It was the first time in school history a Quinnipiac men's soccer player was picked in the draft. Daly, who was once called up to the Jamaican national team camp, will make the trek all the way up to Ohio as he joins his new team in Cincinnati. At the top, Pecknold's prime. Was it really a surprise? Rand Pecknold has been behind the Bobcats bench since before the 1994-95 season, but the way he still wins, I'm calling these moments for him right now part of his prime. Pecknold notched his 500th career win, all with Quinnipiac, in December 29's victory over Colgate. Take a look at the final moments in that contest. Pecknold full of joy there as he reached career win number 500. So there you have it, my top 5 moments of winter break. Strautman, Prisky, Samo, Daly, and Pecknold. Back to you, Eric.
Well, I hope you are now caught up. Let's take it to the ice. The men's ice hockey team went 4-2-1 over the break, pushing their overall record up to 18-5-1. It is my pleasure to introduce Q30 men's ice hockey beat reporter Tom Krosnowski as he joins the desk to talk a little hockey. Tom.
And a 4-2 lead in that game and ended up losing it in overtime. So that was a winnable game they let get by. A game against Cornell, they're up 2-0 against number 20 team overall in the nation. They ended up tying that game 2-2. And another game that really got away from them was against Harvard. They lost it 2-1. They peppered 47 shots on goalie Michael Lackley, only got one by with 30 seconds to go. So they really, for a team that leads ECAC hockey in goals and has the fewest goals against, it is a little disappointing over this stretch, but I do think they're going to bounce back because they have 10 games left this year, all in conference, but only four of them are against teams that are higher than them in the standings right now. Some of these games coming up are winnable games in the conference. I think the Bobcats are going to bounce back.
So here's where I'm going to disagree with you, Tom. I know you're one of the resident hockey people here, but this team beat number 1 UMass 4-0. I know the next night they lost them, but we're talking about what they've done over break, but it's not like anything happened over break. I get they might not have had the attendance because the students weren't here, but it's not like anything happened in their mindsets. Nothing changes with them for that. So the fact that they beat UMass 4-0, to me, that, as long as they qualify for whatever, for everything they want to qualify for postseason, they still beat UMass 4-1. They've proved 4-0. They've proved that they can beat the best team that the conference has to offer. So to me, I'm not concerned 4-2-1. It's not ideal, 5-1-1, whatever it may be, but in my opinion, it's not a huge deal. This team is legit.
The only thing that really concerns me is Keith Petruzzelli right now in his last 3 games, 3 goals, 2 goals, 4 goals against. If he can kind of right the ship a little bit, they're going to be totally fine. We know what this team could do. You said they already beat UMass. They're in the top 5 in the country. As long as they win the ECAC and get to the top of the conference and get into the NCAA tournament, they'll be totally fine.
Yeah, let's not pretend like they slid to 10 or 12 or anything.
5.
For top 5. That's where you want to be.
Fine.
Yes, but to win the ECAC hockey conference, they're going to have to win some of these games and beat the teams that are ahead of them. And it was a tough grind for them over break so far. I think they're going to bounce back and get those wins against some of the bottom dwellers in the division coming up. But I think over break they could have been a little bit better, but it also definitely could have been a lot worse. So move on.
So are you concerned though?
I am a little bit concerned over the result that they couldn't beat the top 20 team, Cornell, and a team that I think is a little bit inferior in Harvard and Colgate especially, but I think they'll bounce back moving forward.
Right, so if we think that they're going to bounce back, then I'm not concerned. Brian?
I agree. I'm not concerned. They're fine.
Yeah, well, I definitely agree with you guys there. So the question that the team has been asking is, who's got next? That's the question that's asked every night when asked who's going to start as a goalie for the men's hockey team. While Andrew Shortridge has been the dominant senior, will Keith Petruzzelli, the future Detroit Red Wing, receive over or under 4.5 starts with just 10 games left in the season?
Josh loves this question. He loves these over-unders, right?
Look, if you're going to throw a line out there, I'm going to pick it. I'll probably pick money line, but whatever it may be. 4.5 starts, so 10 games, all are part of a back-to-back set. So you would think maybe they would go 1-1 in terms of goalies. I think that he will start 3 or 4 games, so I'm picking the under. I think that his performance has not been to the level of Andrew Shortridge's this year. The stats, which are on the screen right now, show it. I don't have to read them off, 10-2-1. I'll read that one off just because that proves how much better Shortridge has been. And you know what? It's the type of thing where as we get to the end of the season, like you said, they've lost a couple games, Tom. They're going to need to put out the best players that are going to give them the best chance to win. And in my opinion, it's Andrew Shortridge, even on a back-to-back, over Keith Petruzzelli.
I think that's absolutely right. I do think Petruzzelli is going to get some action here, maybe 3 or 4 starts. I agree with you exactly on that. But you see his goals against average there. It's double what Andrew Shortridge's is, and it's still not bad, but it's just not nearly as good as Shortridge's. We're talking about an NCAA leader in a lot of categories. And I think we could see Petruzzelli get a start this weekend coming up against St. Lawrence, who's at the bottom of ECAC hockey. That could be a good game to get him back on track mentally, maybe an easier game. And then, because the Bobcats are at their best when these guys are both firing on all cylinders. Rand Peckman likes to go with the hot hand. Right now it's Andrew Shortridge, but who knows what can happen over 10 games. They're going to need Petruzzelli back at full strength, and there could be an opportunity to play him in a couple of these games.
Like you said, once he gets going and once he has a hot game, you're going to ride the hot hand. So whoever is playing the best is going to play. Look, I'll probably go under as well, but let's say Petruzzelli gets in there this weekend and has an outstanding game, maybe has a shutout. Why not play him next week? You know, it doesn't matter. Whoever's hot is going to play.
All right. Well, guys, the team isn't just about the goalies. As any Quinnipiac sports fan has got to appreciate how well the team's been playing for the majority of the season as a whole. With many pleasant surprises leading to success, who or what would you say has been the greatest one so far?
I would say Andrew Shortridge. I mean, we go back and forth with this. Josh wanted to pick Shortridge, but I said that's my choice because you look at the numbers. We just had it on the screen before. Andrew Shortridge has been outstanding, and nobody really expected this. Both goalies weren't as good last season, but Shortridge 1.15 goals against per game in 13 games, 10-2-1. It doesn't get much better than that in the entire country. So I'll go with Andrew Shortridge.
I'll keep it brief. It's the freshman class right now. They have players that are able to come in and contribute right away. You know, on an average night, 7 or 8 of the freshmen are active, which is about half of the roster. So when you look at you know who they're putting out there and what they're able to do, it's the freshman class in my opinion. I know Andrew Shortridge has really been playing very well, but you got to look at the freshman class and really give them a lot of credit.
They do. The freshman class does deserve a lot of credit, but I'm going to go a little bit of a wild card here and go with Brandon Fortunato as the biggest surprise this year. This is a guy who averaged 20 points and plus 11 each year at BU. But last year for the Bobcats, only had 8 points and was -7. It wasn't the player the Bobcats thought they were getting. But this year, he's looked a lot more comfortable on both offense and defense, and the results have been much improved. He leads the team in assists. He's second in plus-minus. He's third in points. He's only taken 1 penalty this year, which means he's a disciplined player. And he's hot, too. He's got 3 goals and 8 points in his last 6 games. The Bobcats get a lot of offense from the defensemen, and right now Fortunato's really helped leading the way.
I agree with that.
Well, guys, that was a great start, and thank you, Tom, once again for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. When we come back, our analysts put into question whether the women's basketball team has been taking W's or beating up a weak competition. Also, one Quinnipiac men's basketball player achieved a significant milestone last Sunday. You don't want to miss it.
Welcome to the WQAQ Morning Show. Dan Ball and Emma Spagnolo joining you here from the QAQ studios in Hamden. And Emma, it is that time of year again.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown here in Q30 Sports. Let's get right back into the action. The men's basketball team stands at third place in the MAC with a record of 5-3 against conference opponents. The Bobcats won by more than double digits against the Marist Red Foxes and the St. Peter's Peacocks last weekend. While this year has already looked better than last season on paper, has the play of the Bobcats proved that they are a top three team in the MAC?
No. But it can change in the next week. I still put Ryder and Canisius as the top two in the MAC, far and away, not even close.
That's two teams you named.
Yes.
Okay.
Iona, number 3. But next Friday they play Iona, Quinnipiac that is, and they could change that with a win. I want to see them beat Iona first before I put them ahead of the Gales. And that's just because of experience. I think Iona's been there before. They have the more experienced coach, the more experienced program. Quinnipiac has not done this yet where they have been at the top of the standings in a long time. It's been a few years since this program has been there, done that. A lot of new players on this team. So I think Iona right now has the edge, but talk to me again next week.
So what happens if Quinnipiac loses to Iona next week?
I think
Is that a definitive no then?
I mean, I still think Quinnipiac could beat them in the MAC tournament, but yeah, I would say Iona is definitively 3.
So I disagree. Almost 100%. I'll just say 100%. I do disagree. When you look at this team, they are getting better with every game. Their last 2 games have been their best 2 offensive games to date. When you look at what they've been doing, Tyrese Williams, game by game, is getting better before our eyes. He's evolved his game from being someone who could shoot from behind the arc to now someone who can drive and finish at the rim. Cam Young, by the way, and we'll talk about it in a bit, is shooting 12% higher from 3 this season. That is an astronomical number. He's shooting 42%. Rich Kelly shooting 43% from 3. He's now back and fully healthy. They're getting Kevin Marfo back from injury. What I want to see is the rematch in Hamden, not with Iona, what Bryan said, but with Ryder. It's February 12th when Quinnipiac went to Ryder just a couple weeks ago. The number 1 team, undoubtedly, I think Bryan would agree, undoubtedly the number 1 team in the conference. They only lost by 5 points at Ryder. So now Ryder's coming to Hamden when Quinnipiac is getting better with every game. I think Quinnipiac will beat Ryder. I also think they are a top 3 team in the conference and in a 1-game neutral court setting, which the MAC tournament is, except for maybe Siena, who gets a slight advantage because it's really close to their home arena. I think Quinnipiac has a chance and could be favored in any one of those games.
I want to see what they do this weekend in this Western New York trip when they face Canisius and Niagara up in Buffalo. The last 2 games have been against teams that aren't that good. Marist and St. Peter's are towards the bottom of the MAC.
Yeah, but they destroyed them, though. Those games weren't even close.
Okay, so let's see them face 2 good teams
Well, they did.
that they've lost to both of these teams already.
What about Canisius, though? Canisius is a good team, and they beat them.
Right, so let's see them go to Canisius and beat them. Make a statement right now. I'm not saying that they're not better than Iona. I just want to see them face Iona first. I can't put them ahead when they don't beat Iona.
I think it's a cop-out. I think you're just going to say wait and see, but we're not on air next week. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk to the producers if you keep doing cop-outs, so we might not be on air next week. I think right now you're saying no, I'm saying yes, and that's our answer.
Sure.
Yeah, guys, I think the MAC is a wide-open conference, so anything could happen, really. But anyway, the Bobcats' starting center position has been a toss-up this year between Kevin Marfo and Abdullah Bundu. Marfo has had the starting job for most of the year, while Bundu filled in when Marfo went down with injury. In Bundu's recent 7 games as starter, he's averaged a solid 7.74 points per game and rebounds per game. When Marfo is healthy, who should get the starting spot?
You want to start this one?
Yeah, to me, I don't think it really matters. I think it's more about who finishes the game, and I think that all depends on what the game is like. If it's tough, gritty, you put Bundu in there. If you need a big rebound and you're shooting the lights out that game, you put Marfo in there for the rebounds. But I think right now you have to stick with Abdoulaye Bundu, and that's just because Kevin Marfo is kind of still getting back into the rhythm. Keep his minutes low, save him for the end of the year when you really need him. You want him to be completely healthy for the MAC tournament because, look, I think Marfo is more skilled than Bundu, but right now Bundu is playing really, really well. And so I wouldn't mess with that at all.
He's playing really well, and like I've said, this team is absolutely rolling. So when you look at the two players, they do very similar things. It's not like one player can really shoot from behind the arc and the other one can. Both of them, Quinnipiac doesn't really feed their bigs that much. They have to set a lot of screens and get a lot of rebounds and kind of roll to the basket, and both are great at doing that. Like you said, Kevin Marfo is a better rebounder. There's a stat from College Basketball Reference, and it's the percentage of rebounds available when a player's on the floor, and Kevin Marfo leads the entire conference in that total stat and in offensive rebounds. So he's a better rebounder, he's a bigger guy, so if the matchup is against a bigger player, you might want to start Kevin Marfo, but again, I think the game should kind of dictate who should play because they are both very talented, and right now I would go with the senior Abdoulaye Bundu, but like you said, it's a little bit, it's very close.
Yeah, you got to stick with Bundu for now, then you never know.
Right.
Yeah, talking about other Quinnipiac basketball players, Quinnipiac guard Cameron Young put his name into the Bobcats record books when scoring his 1,000 points on a three-pointer from the top of the key. With such a milestone with how well he's been playing this season, where does Young rank in Quinnipiac men's basketball history?
Eric, we're not really Quinnipiac historians in basketball. I don't think there is much of a history in Quinnipiac basketball. There hasn't been much historic success there. But in our time that we've been here, for me the last 3 years, for you the last 4 years, Cam Young is at the top. He has done this in under 2 seasons, which is just remarkable. Look how small that text is on that graphic right there. Look how many accomplishments this guy has had. It's unreal. He's by far the best player I've seen at Quinnipiac in the last 3 years.
And it's not even look how small the text is, look how big he is. He's a 6'7" guard that can play the 2 through 4, and he played the 5 a little bit in high school. So he's someone that can guard multiple positions. Like I said, his three-pointers, he's shooting so much better from behind the arc this year, which absolutely changes the game because he's someone that can blow by you. He's very explosive on dunks. He can get to his spot and shoot from really anywhere. So the fact that you now have to guard him all the way out completely changes the way defenses have to play him. He's like Bryan said, I agree with it. He's the best player I've ever seen in a Quinnipiac Bobcats uniform. He's a great rebounder. He can block. He can drive to the hoop. He does everything that you want out of a player.
He literally can do it all, and that's what the Bobcats need.
Yeah, he's truly an exceptional talent. While the men's basketball team has been good, the women's basketball team has been cruising through the MAC. The Bobcats are currently undefeated in conference play, winning 7 of their last 10 games by more than 10 points. With the team's recent lockdown defense against MAC's opponents has been noticed in the box scores, do you guys believe that they shut down the other team on offense, or is it only because they're doing this against weak competition?
I'm so tired of this, Brian. I'm not even letting you speak first. I'm so tired of this. Could you imagine if you went out and you balled out and you just absolutely destroyed your opponents, and then everyone was like, well, is it the opponents or is it you? It's them. I mean, obviously the teams aren't that great. The conference isn't as strong as it's been, but it's not their fault. The conference is on their schedule. They are in that conference. So I'm sure the team is tired of it. I'm tired of hearing it and seeing it. Maybe you'll say it. I don't know what you'll say. But I can't imagine if I went on and were to destroy you and everyone would say, yeah, but it's only Bryan Schwartz. What? So what, dude? You are going against other teams 3 times this season. They've turned opponents, conference opponents, over 30 or more times. 4 times this season they've held opponents to under 40 points. Under 40 points in a college basketball game. I don't care who is playing. This team's defense is unstoppable. It's both. All right, go ahead.
It's both. Look at the teams in the MAC. Which team is good? Which team is any good? This conference is awful. This conference is terrible. Obviously, their defense is fantastic. They play well against a lot of good teams out of conference. They won a lot of games out of conference. I'm not disrespecting Quinnipiac at all because they are phenomenal defensively. But this conference is not good. Marist is the only team that can maybe compete with them. But you look at teams like Manhattan and Iona, it's not even a competition.
Yeah,
They
solid
shut
input,
down,
guys.
I just want to say that.
Well, let's head into another commercial break. When we come back, we discuss how the women's hockey team can fix its season. Don't forget to stick around and hear our final roars. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the WQAQ Morning Show. Dan Ball and Emma Spagnolo joining you here from the QAQ studios in Hamden. And Emma, it is that time of year again.
Welcome back to Bobcat Breakdown. Let's finish this so strong. The women's hockey team has been on a roller coaster ride this season. With an ECAC record of 6-7-1, the team has had up and downs and is struggling to find consistent success. Josh, Bryan, is there a strategy, player, something, anything that can turn these losses into more wins?
I'll keep it short. You got to be more consistent. That's what it is. The offense is there. The defense is there in some games. It's got to be there in all games.
I'll keep it short in that motivation. The Frozen Fours in Hamden this year, they're not gonna be there, but they want to be there. So look, that's something to look forward to. They've been away a lot, so now you're back home. This is a team that needs to play better, and they will.
Way to keep it short and sweet. All right, everyone, it's that time again. Let's get ready to unleash those final roars. Bryan, let's hear it.
During Sunday's win over St. Peter's, Cam Young hit a 3 in the first half to put Quinnipiac up 30-22. It came with a bigger applause than usual. It was point number 1,000, a milestone for the grad student who spent his freshman and sophomore year at junior college in Arizona and his junior season on the bench for all but 8 minutes in his first run as a Bobcat. In comes Baker Dunleavy, a new coach with a fresh vision for the program and a fresh vision for the wing from Los Angeles. I asked Dunleavy after Sunday's game what he'd tell me if I said Cam Young would score 1,000 points in his Bobcat career when Baker took the job. His response? He said, I'd say, who's Cam Young? 1,017 points later in just 52 games over the last 2 seasons, Cam Young has etched his name in the Quinnipiac basketball history. In what we've continuously called a new era for Bobcats basketball and Quinnipiac as a whole, Cam Young has been at the forefront of that and will be remembered as the start of this new era. Etch Cam Young's name in the rafters. We'll be talking about him for a long time at the Q.
Imagine trying to sail a ship without a captain or go into battle without a commander. That's what a point guard is in basketball, a floor general that everything runs through. And there are different types of point guards, some that pass first with great court vision or ones that drain shots from behind the arc. Well, the Quinnipiac men's basketball team has both of those players, and they both wear number 22. How is that possible? It's because that player is Rich Kelly. All right, that was cheesy, but it's true. Kelly is currently shooting 43% from 3, while his assist numbers are down due to missed time from injuries. He is 3rd in the conference in assist percentage, which is the percentage of teammate field goals a player assisted on while on the court. In other words, Kelly is essential to his teammates getting open looks. So whether it's his shot driving past the basket to find a teammate, circa prime Steve Nash, Kelly is a big reason the Bobcats are rolling right now.
While the men's hockey and basketball teams have received the majority of attention in Quinnipiac sports, it's time for Bobcats fans to recognize the dynasty that is forming within the women's basketball program. The team hasn't lost a game in the MAC since February 2nd in 2017. That's a crazy statistic. Their resume is something that just can't be ignored, with a 3-2 NCAA women's tournament record, NCAA Sweet 16 appearance in 2017. It's just remarkable. They can't be ignored. With a cast of players over the 2-year span featuring Jen Fay, Aaron McClure, and notable Quinnipiac alumni Adelaide Martucci and Carly Fabry, leading their team to victory behind the minds of head coach Trisha Fabry, the Quinnipiac Bobcats have asserted themselves as the powerhouse of MAC women's basketball. Well, Bryan, Josh, it was a great fight tonight, and I enjoyed being a part of it. For more Quinnipiac sports, be sure to follow our Twitter page at Q30 Sports. Be sure to also check out our websites at Q30TV.com, theQBSN.com, and subscribe to our YouTube page, Q30 Television. With Brian Schwartz and Josh Silverman, I'm Eric Kerr. Have a great day and a better tomorrow.